You see the pool in the background?
Yes, I can see the pool in the background. We have an awesome background this week here on the Swim Brief, brought to you by Jersey Wahoo Swim Club, Silver Medal Club, third year in a row. We're in action, bunch of meets next weekend. You can hear about it on the previous podcast. But today, I want to talk to the hottest man in swimming, Trever Gray. Trever, how are you?
Chris, when's the last time I was on? It was like last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, last year, and you were giving me like nutrition tips and workout tips, and we made a whole thing out of that. And little did I know you were saving all the best tips for yourself.
I am.
So that you could selfishly break a master's record. And here I am. I'm not breaking any master's records. How's that fair?
But you are training though, aren't you? Are you swimming or just doing kickboxing?
I'm not swimming at all. I'm thinking about coming back to it, but I'm so locked into every day, like 90 minutes that's either devoted to kickboxing or lifting. I'm having a hard time with my schedule thinking about where I would put swimming workouts in as well.
Right. And you got a family, so that's a full-time job as well.
Yeah, I don't want to give up anything I'm doing right now. I would just want to add swimming, but like, how do I do that?
You know what? And actually, I hope to talk about that today, is the value of your workouts.
Yeah.
That is really important.
Yeah. My workouts or just people's workouts in general?
Well, we're going to talk about the value of the sets that you do and the importance of that. We're going to talk about it in swimming, I hope, but it applies to any. You just said that you love what you're doing, so you should not change it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've offline, I'm not going to get into this on the podcast, but I've been sharing some progress updates with you. So, I'm actually really pleased with how I'm progressing. And so, yeah, I think that'll be an interesting conversation. We'll get into some swimming stuff, your swimming stuff first. And then you've got some coaching things that are interesting. Some high school coaching that you did here in the fall, some club coaching that you're just getting started with. But first, I want to sort of pump up. If I had really done my podcasting right, you and I would have done a podcast like I guess somewhere in the summer, where you sort of went like, I think I can actually break some of these national masters records. And it culminated in a swim where you actually did break a national record. Unfortunately, it was in the same heat as another guy who broke the record. So he's got the record, but I still think that's a pretty impressive accomplishment. So I guess take us back to some of these meets you were competing with, where it sort of turned the corner for you and you thought like, I could really do this.
Well, it first started with, I turned 45 and I thought, I really should take all this knowledge I have on nutrition and human performance and apply it and see if I can make it work as a 45-year-old and actually get faster than I was like, 5-6 years ago when I was swimming really well, when I first came back to masters. And I thought, okay, well, what is my training plan? What is my nutrition plan? Let's see if we can formulate this plan and then stick to it. And it's COVID time, it's pandemic time, everything is kind of shut down. And then when pools started opening back up, and I started training again, the plan actually wasn't too hard to follow. And so I started implementing it. And the first meet we had up here near Seattle was called Let's Give It a Shot. Kind of funny. Let's give it a shot. And I went faster than I did in 2015 in the 100 IM. I'm like, oh, the training program, the nutrition program is working, it seems. Yeah. And then my friend Dan Phillips said, hey, by the way, you're really close to the national record in yards. You should probably think about doing that since that you're at the beginning of your age group. I thought, oh, yeah, I might as well do that. And then he pointed out to me that the short course meters national record is even more in reach, because if you convert my 53.3 100 IM yards time to meters, it came out to like a 58 high or 59 low or something like that. And at the time, the national record in the 100 IM for my age group was a 100.1. So it seemed very much within reach.
Yeah.
And so we were looking for some short course meters meets, and there was one in California, but there was one here at the Aquatic Center, which you can see in the background, but that was canceled. And so my friend Andrew, who's my training partner, found a meet in Arizona at ASU, which lo and behold, my college buddy, Justin Roth, and his family live literally 5-minute bike ride from the pool, 7-minute bike ride from the pool. Okay. So I called up Justin and said, hey, Justin, my friend Andrew and I are coming down for this meet. Can we stay there? And he said, yeah, sure. And so it worked out really well. The morning of the race was also Ironman Arizona. And we hopped on a couple bikes and rode to the pool, and 75-degree weather at 9 a.m. or whatever it was. It was just perfect. And it was a really great meet. We were thinking we might go back next year for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got off track, but that's how it started. Is someone pointed out to me like, hey, you should probably think about trying for this national record.
So give us, I know we've been over this maybe also on a previous podcast, but give us some like real specific examples. What was some of the stuff where you go, okay, here's how I'm going to train differently at 45 years old to swim better than 6 years ago?
So 6 years ago, I was doing strictly USRPT.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing anything else. So swimming for 40, 45 minutes. I'd do 20-minute warm up, 20-minute set, 5-minute cool down. I was done. And it's kind of all the time I had. I was also lifting in the afternoon and then doing yoga a couple times a week as well. So I already had that dialed in terms of concurrent training. And I know you and I have talked about concurrent training in the past. Where do we place our dry land in relation to our swim workouts? Because the physiological responses or the biochemical pathways are different for swim training than they are weight training. And if you do them concurrently, then they can interfere with each other. I know we've talked about that in the past. So I had that dialed in. This time though, Andrew is like, hey, can we do some other sets, more traditional sets? I'm like, yeah, we could do those. Sure. What I found out is I fell back in love with some of these traditional sets because they were fun. Some of these sets I placed high value on. And we kind of just
give us an example of a set like that you were like, wow, I haven't been doing this for years and this was actually fun to do.
Well, one of the sets Andrew suggested, which he pulls a lot from Janet Evans's playbook.
Okay.
And, part of it is swimming with someone. Back in 2015, 16, I was training solely by myself.
Yeah. And
training with someone else is a lot more fun. And even with a few people, we have a group of 4 in our group now, which is really fun. But like the other day we did, now these aren't necessarily fun, but they're very satisfying at the end when you accomplish these sets. So the other day we did, 4 150s on 230 and then a 200 free, and then a 200 on 230, 3 150s, 200, 2 150s, 200, 1 150, 200, all on 230. And you kind of, push the 200 a little bit. So it's just traditional sets like that. The other set I really liked was the 8, 12, 25s on a minute, or even 115, just all out, this max you can go. And I really enjoyed that. And it's basically any set that you like, any set that you place value on that makes you feel good at the end is what we've been adding in. And I think it's really helped.
Yeah, I think a great point there about liking what you're doing, because it's like, look, essentially, like I had a kid that was at practice, 12-year-old boy, asked me a few weeks ago, he was like looking at me, he was like, Coach Chris, I'm getting kind of jacked. He's like, how do I get jacked like you? I said, do you know how? I said, I work out 6 times a week and nobody has to ask me to do it. I do it every week because I enjoy what I'm doing. And so I just show up and work hard, so there's a lesson in there for you that, like, if it's motivating enough, if you like it enough that you're going to show up and do it every time, it's infinitely better than something that maybe you hate. And so, on that day when you're just having a bad day, you're apt to just throw it out, or just grind through it and be miserable and have some other consequence down the line. I think for sure there's a huge, at least I'm hearing there's a huge aspect of that. Did you change stuff with regards to your strength training? What was different about that?
Nope, that's been the same.
Okay.
One thing I did change in relation to strength training in terms of nutrition is I upped my protein intake. And so
we talked about this on the previous podcast.
Yeah, a little bit. And so I jumped up to, I think I'm at 2.2 or 2.4 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. And that was at least another protein shake I started taking. And I think that really helped as well.
Yeah.
Is the additional protein.
And are you, I mean, in terms of like body size, are you bigger than you were 6 years ago?
I am. I've been 212 pounds since like 210 to 212 pounds since like 2008 when I stopped doing triathlon. My triathlon race weight was 192,
Oof.
and which is kind of normal for me. I've always been kind of tall and lanky. Out of high school, I was 175, and then for when I was racing triathlon, 192. Anyway, I go, let's see if I can gain some muscle at 45. And I upped my protein, and I've been also sleeping really well. And yeah, I'm 225 now. So I put on at least 10, 15 pounds in the last year or so. And I think that's helped as well.
So you're power Trever now, ready to race.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
right. I am, yeah.
Talk about the race. So I hinted at earlier, you broke the record. Of course, Jeff Cummings, and anybody who knows anything about master swimming knows that Jeff Cummings is just like an unstoppable force, basically.
You should have him on the podcast. That dude looks like he's 30 years old, and he looks fantastic.
Yeah. So he was in the same heat. You went a 59.2. Is that correct? The record was.
I went a 59 points. I think, was it 59.2, something like that, 0.2 or 0.3. Yeah.
Okay. And Jeff was like a 58 low.
Yeah, he was. And I know he's a breaststroker. And so my strategy was, I'm going to crush this guy on the first 50 because I know I could do butterfly and backstroke really well. And I'm going to front load this race and just bring it home that last 50 as best I could. Well, at the backstroke turn, I take a peek at him and he's turning with me. In fact, at the splits, he's actually 0.2 ahead of me. And I'm like, oh, that's it. On the turn, I'm like,
the dream is dead.
The dream is dead. But I was like, still go as hard as you can here. Just finish out this race. Let's go a good breaststroke freestyle split. And I did. I still did well. But yeah, as soon as at the 50, I knew the race was over.
Well, actually, now that you mentioned that, now I'm more impressed by your swim, Trever, because Jeff's best stroke is breaststroke. That's your weakest stroke. If you guys flipped right around the same and he only ends up beating you by a second, then he only got like a second from you on the breaststroke part of that. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's actually one of the things I've changed in my training is I've been doing a lot of breaststroke training, and I've never been a breaststroker. And man, when breaststroke clicks, and I've known this as a coach, but when breaststroke clicks, it's a great feeling. Yeah. When breaststroke doesn't click and your timing is a little bit off, it is the worst feeling. Breaststroke is such a diametric opposing feelings when your timing is on or off.
Yeah. And what I'm noticing more and more as I coach a lot of kids, and I identified at the beginning of the year that the weakness of overall of my group was breaststroke, is that, just bringing some aggression to training breaststroke. You kind of need a certain attitude level of like, I'm going to try to swim really hard just to have a chance to get into that kind of flow state of breaststroke, because
flow state, right.
if you just go, I'm bad at breaststroke and therefore I'm just going to kind of, grandma my way through all the breaststroke stuff. You have no chance of getting there. On the other hand, it's so easy to overtrain breaststroke. So it's like this narrow little window. It's hard.
It is hard. Yeah. And then the other thing I've been working on breaststroke is the balance between tempo and gliding, on the recovery portion, and really carrying that glide after you kick. And that's hard to incorporate as well.
How many strokes, you know how many strokes you took on that IM?
Let's see here. It's 25 meters. I think I took 8 or 9. I think I took 8.
That's pretty good, Trever.
For short course meters, it's okay. Yeah. It's not bad. And, the other thing is I did get a regional record. We're Pacific Northwest Masters in the 50 breast. I also signed up for the 50 breast at that meet. And I went 29.9. I was pretty happy with that.
All right. Now I don't want to talk to you. Get out of here.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Sorry. And listen, I like you. I like being friends. But when you start swimming breaststroke and you're 7 years older than me and you're way faster than I was like a long time ago, I don't know if I can sustain this.
It's nice knowing you, man. Take care.
Yeah. All right, I think that's enough about the swimming. You got a couple other coaching things. Sorry, going on. You're coaching a high school team.
I did. Before I say that, you should have on Jeff Cummings on the podcast. You should reach out to him
I don't know.
because like he's pretty amazing.
It's Jeff. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the name, but I'll look him up and see if he's accomplished anything impressive in master swimming.
Yeah, right. Yeah. See if he has any national records or anything.
Yeah.
I think he has like 3 or 4 now.
I'll have one of my producers. I think he has more than that. I think he's got.
Does he?
Yeah. I think
it's impressive. Yeah.
He's been. He just ages up, and then he just like, boop boop boop.
Yep.
Boop, boop.
Picks him off.
Yeah. He's one of those guys. Like
I'd be curious to know what his training schedule is.
Yeah. Well, I know he lives down in Arizona. He used to work for Swimming World. I don't know if he still works for Swimming World.
Oh, does he not? I thought he still.
I don't know. But he's got that good outdoor training environment year round.
Yep.
Good stuff. And I think he's just been consistent. Like he's just been training consistently year after year for all these years.
It's impressive, the consistency. Yeah.
And he was like a high end, actually pretty similar to yourself. When he was in his first, competitive career, he was a pretty high end, not quite like breaking through to that international level athlete, but like right there. In breaststrokes. And he swam at University of Texas.
Oh, I thought it was Auburn, but I don't know.
Oh my God. Well, we're mangling his whole body. That's why he needs to come on so that we can actually do a proper biography on Jeff Cummings.
Yeah.
All right. Talk about some of the high school coaching. You got a big accomplishment to brag about.
So last season, we had a truncated 5-week girls and boys high school season. No meet. We had some virtual meets because of the pandemic, but we had 5 weeks. But during those 5 weeks, I'm looking at this team going, oh man, they could maybe win state the following year, which was this season.
Yep.
And I do some Excel spreadsheet work where I look at the previous 5 years of scores and how you score it all out.
Because you're a gigantic nerd.
Yeah. That's correct. And I scored out and like, how do we score this many points to win? And I, at the end of the season, Teresa, who's the head coach, and I presented this idea that maybe we could win state, and here are the points that we need to do to do that. And it was a possibility. And it was only like a couple points. And we have to guess like which team has seniors and who has incoming freshmen and stuff like that. Sure. So at the beginning of this season, this group of incredible young ladies gathers, and we could tell that this is a special team. And from top to bottom, our like JV lane, our slowest lane, would be middle of the pack of any other team. It was quite impressive. We didn't have to, usually high school team, you have to give some lessons and really kind of get someone to swim a 50 is a real big accomplishment, right? We didn't have to do any of that. The whole team is doing some US RPT and some traditional training, and every coach is working with every single swimmer. It was an awesome atmosphere. So we decided to challenge ourselves right away and swim against Curtis High School at the very beginning in September. We go from mid-August to mid-November. And so early September, we decide to challenge one of our biggest rivals right away. And we beat Curtis in a dual meet by quite a bit. So we ride out the rest of the season, pretty much drama-free. No big hiccups with any of the ladies there. We go to district and we win. We win districts with our first district title in the 10-year history. I think it was a 10-year history that they didn't really have a swim team before, I think.
Okay.
And then, and Curtis got second. And then we're going into state and we're looking good. We're looking strong. We have 8 ladies qualify and all 8 are swimming 2 events. So we're going to score in every event with 2 people. And some of the events, we have 2 girls with the psych sheet in the A final. So we're looking pretty good. So us coaches scored out the meet immediately. And we win by it was like around 100 points.
Yeah, you said that to me. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't tell them that. We didn't tell the girls that. We just told them, hey, we need to step up. And our big day actually is on Friday, which is prelims, so that we can get into finals. And then if we just maintain on finals on Saturday, we should win, which we did. We performed great on Friday. Saturday comes along. We started off with a win in the 200 medley relay, our first event. And that kind of sets the tone. And then we had two girls in the A final of the 200 free, which is our next event. They get second and third, which is a ton of points. And then we just ride this meet out. We had one girl in the 50 free go from seventh to second, really step up there. And we placed second in our other two relays. Anyway, suffice to say that we won by, I think it was almost 100 points. And our girls won, and us coaches got to get pushed in the water, which is always fun. So it was an amazing time, and kudos to those, not only those 8 young women who scored at state, but the entire team was there. They were in the stands cheering, and all the parents, and they had cardboard cutouts of their, heads and bobbleheads. And
Nice.
it was fantastic. It was a really fun time.
Yeah. That kind of stuff. I was very jealous. But I was enjoying following it vicariously through you. And I really enjoyed your giving me texts, updates through the meet. So that was really fun. I guess we should talk too about, this beautiful background you have. You're at King County Aquatic Center. You're about to coach a swim practice.
No, I'm swimming myself.
Oh, you're swimming yourself. Okay, sorry.
Yep. Yeah.
I guess I screwed that one up, but we'll just keep rolling tape here. But you're gonna. I'm sorry. Have you started coaching a club program, or is it still okay?
So I've been out of the club coaching game for a while. You get burnout on it. I mean, you've gone in and out of club coaching and college coaching, and so. Aaron Hughes, who's the head coach at University Place Aquatic Club, approached me and said, "Hey, I want you to coach the senior program, 14 to 18, and maybe some college summers when they come home and stuff like that." I'm like, "Well, I'm doing this high school thing, and it's a pretty good gig, and maybe, but let's keep talking about it." And we did, and it sounds like a pretty good situation. And I go, "Aaron, I'm not going to do this full time. When I was head coach, I got way out of balance. We've talked about coach burnout, and I don't want to do that again. In fact, I want my professor job to still be my main job." He goes, "Yeah, that's okay. All you got to do is come in for 90 minutes a day, come do a couple meets a month, and we'll call it good." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, maybe I can handle that." Like, no 2-hour practices either, which we kind of don't need. You can be extremely effective with 90-minute practices.
Yeah, I mean, I coach 90-minute practices. To definitely, depending on the level that you have, you could make it work for sure.
You could totally make it work, absolutely. And so we had a few more chats, and I decided that maybe this is a good opportunity. And so I took it, and I started last Monday. And on Tuesday and today, we can't swim actually, because there's a boys' high school swimming. And so I've been presenting the program to them that we're going to start after we have a championship meet coming up, and I'm not going to change any of that. But after that, I'm going to be implementing this athlete-centered program where the athletes make up the workouts. So today I'm going to give them the template for how to write a workout, and we're going to talk about that value. Which sets do you value? And we're going to be talking about. I'm going to introduce USRPT, which amazingly none of them have really heard about. One of them, one swimmer says, "Is that the one that Michael Andrew does?" And I said, "Yes." And I go, "But USRPT is not the be all to end all." And we kind of talked about his last 50 in the 200 IM. So she knew enough about that. And so I'm going to be introducing this athlete-centered program so that within a couple months, which takes a couple months to implement, it's a little bit of controlled chaos at first. But after a couple months, it's a well-oiled machine, and the athletes come in every day already knowing what they're going to do because it's kind of directed by them. And I still do and can write workouts, but I try not to. And so,
what are you going to do?
So that liberates me to come in and give technique instruction and motivation. And I'm not doing any timekeeping either. I don't have a stopwatch. They're all going to be timing themselves with a finger timer. And I will be doing those two things mainly, is making sure that their plan and the team's plan is on track, and then technique instruction and motivation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So certainly something pretty different that you're going to be trying.
I'd like to think it's a bit of a paradigm shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would love to do a follow-up, in like 6 to 12 months to see.
That's why I wanted to bring it up now, because I realized the mistake we made with your swimming where we didn't do the one after you swam the 53 would have been much better to tell people the whole story than go, hey, Trevor, catch us up on the last few months. And oh, by the way, you broke a record,
Exactly.
So I want to get you to introduce this. And then we're going to right at the beginning. And then in 2 months, you can tell me whether it is a well-oiled machine or whether the machine is kicking off parts in every direction, right?
The other thing I thought of is you should maybe have on the podcast a couple swimmers right now so they can go, because they won't be able to.
That's why you're my least favorite producer of the podcast. Just sit here and make hard suggestions to me. I don't like working that hard, Trevor. Come on.
But it would be cool to interview a swimmer to see what their concept, because I barely introduced it, what their concept of this program is now, what it is in 6 months, and what it is in 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
so
it would be.
Maybe we'll set that
do
up.
that, and then just send it to me, and I can copy it and pretend it's my work. I think that'll
deal.
Work great.
We could do that. I don't mind the plagiarism.
All right, I want to let you go on time so you can get in there and get your own workout. I don't know what your next goal is. Maybe you can give us that, and then we'll say goodbye to you. You must be training for something now.
I am. The great thing about USRPT is it allows you to train for almost any event. So in my Pacific Northwest Masters, group here, they have regional records. They have Pacific Northwest Masters records for each 5-year age group.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Cummings is doing, I'm going to see how many of these I could pick off. So next
you're going broad now.
I'm going broad. Next is I'm going to try and go the 400 IM, which up here is a 426 by Olympian Rick Colella, who was in the 72 Munich, right? Or 76 Munich. He was in both. And he placed, I think,
72 was Munich, 76 was Montreal.
So he placed third in Montreal and 76 in the 200 breaststroke. And he continues to swim. That guy is a local legend. And
426 in yards?
Yeah, 426 in yards. I know, it seems
doable.
Trevor.
Come on.
Yep. Rick did it in the 90s.
Wow.
So it seems doable.
Yeah. There you go.
But my endurance is not great. I'm a power guy now.
Yeah, that's right. You're power Trevor now. So we'll see. Your first 200, you might be out under 2 minutes, but it might be rough after that, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go out in 159 and come back in a 224. Exactly.
All right. Thanks for sharing everything with us, Trevor. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a great workout, and we'll see you again soon.